Movie review, share and joy. This is Movie Uncover. I'm James. There is an elephant in Manzawi Zoo. It sits there all day long. Maybe someone is always stabbing it with a fork, or maybe it just likes to sit there. Many people run over and lean against the railing to see. Someone threw food over, he also ignored. This story was told to him by a good friend of Yu Cheng. Yu Cheng slept with his good friend's wife and relayed the story to her, and then there was a sudden sharp knock on the door. The woman and Yu Cheng one stand, one sit, not panic, not flee. It turned out that his best friend had returned, and he had forgotten to bring his leather shoes. He just wanted to pick up and go out again, but he saw the tooth marks on his wife's mouth, and he found two shoes that didn't belong to him. Yu Cheng gently grabbed his clothes and hid aside, but his best friend had already noticed the anomaly. He pushed open the bedroom door and saw Yu Cheng. He didn't seem so surprised. After a few seconds, he stared at Yu Cheng and asked, "Are those shoes yours?" Yu Cheng stared at him in silence. After a long time, spit out a word, "Yes." The best friend rubbed his brow and gritted his teeth, as if his head was about to split open. After a moment of hesitation, suddenly, he rushed to the window. After a muffled sound, Yu Cheng closed his eyes. Then he rushed downstairs and walked somewhat hesitantly towards his best friend's corpse, suddenly, feeling a little scared, and immediately darted away from the scene. Not long after, his best friend's wife found Yu Cheng. He said coldly, "The police came." Yu Cheng did not answer and asked her instead, "You know how I think about this thing. The jump was not because of me. He was living a miserable life. You want to buy this house. He earns only 2 or 3,000 a month. What can you do with 2 or 3,000? Only jump, you vanity." He paid the bill. The woman slapped him, indignantly said, "Who wants to know how you think? Jumping from the balcony should be you." Yu Cheng taunted, "So what are you suffering now? He is dead. I am cold." Or the next bunch of annoying things. The woman said, "His mother already knows that something happened. You are her son's best friend. She will definitely come to you." After that, the woman punched Yu Cheng and ran away with anger. The ass has not wiped clean, and shite on crotch again. One thing after another. The mother suddenly called and said, "Your brother was beaten up at school." Yu Cheng impatiently asked, "And so what? You want me to beat back?" The other side of the phone, a woman sadly cursed, "Why are you so shameless? Why are you so shameless?" Yu Cheng's brother is called Yu Shuai. Mom and dad dote on him. For Yu Cheng, he does not like him because he thinks his brother is a loser, all day long bullying, not like a man. He was beaten up at school. This matter must start from a few hours ago. Yu Shuai's cell phone was lost. He suspected that his classmate Li Kai stole it, but Li Kai insisted that he did not steal it. Li Kai has a good friend named Webb. In order to help his best friend to get justice, Webb wrapped a rolling pin with tape. It is said that this way to beat people cannot leave traces. Webb's family is very poor, even cannot pay the heating bill. The father was once a police officer, and then due to injuries at home, he has nowhere to vent his grievances. Always take Webb as a punching bag. He called Webb a dog. He knew Webb steal and sell the family's things to go internet cafe. But Webb argued that he didn't do it. His mom sells clothes in the mines to support the family's living expenses. The home is always filled with a suffocating depression. Webb often feel that they cannot breathe. On the way to school, Webb met Lai Kai. He said, "How about buying a cell phone to compensate him?" This matter is past. Lai Kai is holding his breath. "Not me. Why should I accompany him? I'm not afraid of him. I brought something." After saying that, he took a replica pistol from his school bag. When they arrived at the school, the two saw Yu Shuai and his minions were threatening a boy mopping the floor, and took a video. With the backing of Yu Cheng, Yu Shuai often bullies his classmates in school. He saw Lai Kai and Webb, and immediately blocked them with his minions. Lai Kai acted cool, and Webb didn't say a word. After the clash, Yu Shuai threatened them to wait for him at the stairway during recess. Then Webb came to the deputy director's office to compensate for the last fight, smashed the table. The deputy director said in a low voice, "The school will be demolished soon. This is the worst high school in the city. We will soon merge with another school. This bad school is gone. I will go to a new school, change to a larger office. Webb asked, "What do we do then?" The deputy director said, "You guys, go to the city's worst high school. Half of you graduate to the market to sell kebabs." After saying that, he looked at the money on the table, said, "You take this, go to the internet cafe for a while." Webb went out and saw the boy who just mopped the floor. The boy suddenly looked up to Webb and said, "The world is a wasteland. This is what the book says." I was very touched. Webb asked suspiciously, "You are very touched?" After saying that, the boys went into the deputy director's office. The office immediately came the deputy director's exaggerated laughter. This laughter is like a fire. The boy's heart of the wilderness burned up. Then, Webb met Huang Ling, who was standing outside the classroom door, seemed to be waiting for him. The two share the same hardship, so they can always find a sense of affinity in each other. Huang Ling lives with her mother in a small unit. She has no time to take care of her daughter and the household, the leaking toilet, trash all over, no one cares. All these are unbearable for a girl during rebellious period. The dialogue between mother and daughter is more direct and rude. Huang Ling does not feel any warmth in this home, but only suffocating depression. Because of the lack of security, Huang Ling has a strong sense of self-protection. She hid a baseball bat in the stairway early on. Outside the classroom, they chat. Webb to ask her to go to the monkey cage in the afternoon. That's where they met. Huang Ling refused. The first thing you should not do is mess with Yu Shuai. Everyone in the school knows his brother. He can get you killed. But Webb said with a bewildered face, "Get killed, just right." During recess, Webb and Lai Kai at the stairway waiting for Yu Shuai. Yu Shuai asked Webb, "How do you want to solve?" Webb is still arguing for Lai Kai. "I know he never stole anything." See Webb stand for Lai Kai. Yu Shuai sneeringly said, "Then I am lost. Maybe picked up by your father. Why he get fired? What he took from our family? What Lai Kai bribed you? You are so excited to stand up for him. Be careful of the school to expel you home, so father and son will reunion." Lai Kai finally spoke, but the opening was a concession. "Forget it, I'll buy you one." But Yu Shuai is not relenting. "Let them kneel down and sing children's songs, and then buy him a new phone. This thing is over." Webb said, "No way, who do you think you are? In fact, you are nothing." After that, he wants to leave. Yu Shuai pulled his school bag. Webb, hidden in the arms of the rolling pin, fell out. Seeing the rolling pin, Yu Shuai became enraged. He grabbed Webb's collar with force. Webb raised his arm to block. Yu Shuai grabbed nothing and rolled down the stairs. The stairs were long, and Yu Shuai's head hit the wall solidly, and Webb was terrified. After freezing for a while, he scrambled to escape. After leaving school, Webb got on a bus to his grandmother's house, where it was probably the only place in the world where he could feel warmth. But after arriving at her house, he called out several times with no response. He went to a hidden place to get the key and entered the house only to find that his grandmother had died several days ago. The continuous mental stimulation made him numb. Looking at his grandmother's remains, he didn't even shed a single tear, but just silently took the money in the house, and then he went to his aunt's house upstairs and told them the news. They lived upstairs but didn't know that she had died. After hearing this, his uncle did not care, but instead chatted Webb. Webb was disheartened and silently left the cold place. Then, he went to the billiard hall, retrieved his beloved cue. He wanted to sell the cue for some money for escape, but the clerk could not make the decision. He had to take the cue. At this time, Yu Shuai's brother Yu Cheng has found the billiard hall. He asked from the deputy director to get the address of Webb's home, and prevented his parents from going to the police. He had to find Webb face-to-face solution. Webb ran out and took a cab to the monkey cage. He saw an old man put a bag under the bridge. He is Webb's neighbor Lao Jin. Lao Jin and his daughter and son-in-law live together. The house is very small. It can only sleep on the balcony to build a bed. His son-in-law is a high school teacher. In order to let his only daughter go to a better primary school, they decided to sell the current house to buy a school district house. But that school district house is smaller than now, so that Lao Jin will not even able to live in the balcony. but go to the nursing home. But he has a sense of inexplicable fear of nursing homes. This fear comes from a voice from the nursing home, like a poisonous snake that tore at his already old lonely heart every day. Fortunately, he still had a dog, although the dog was very old. But this is the only reason he cannot go to the nursing home. Every time he mentioned going to the nursing home, he always said that nursing homes cannot keep dogs. He could only use the aging dog to carefully maintain his faltering dignity. That morning, Lao Jin took the dog out again and was chatting with an old friend on the street when a woman rushed up to them aggressively, her voice shrill as she inquired, "Grandpa, have you seen a big white dog?" After another old man pointed him in the right direction, she left anxiously, and Lao Jin walked back with his puppy. Passing an alley, a half-human tall big white dog snarled and rushed over. There was no one behind it, most likely the woman's dog. He rushed up like a mad to tear Lao Jin's puppy. Lao Jin is powerless against it, can only watch his dog was bitten to death, blood-stained after tearing. Lao Jin's heart also seems to be dripping blood. Subsequently, Lao Jin found the owner's home from the address on the dog search revelation. He calmly said, "My dog was bitten to death by your dog." The man heard, immediately alerted. He retorted, "How do I know it was my dog that bit your dog to death? What are you telling me this for? How much do you want?" The man's voice was getting brutal, just like the big white dog, baring his teeth and grinning. He growled, "Trying to extort me, are you? I tell you, 2 days ago I just hit a battery car." He could not extort me. What can you do to me using a dog? Lao Jin did not say anything. In the silence of the pair of eyes, time seems to have formed a huge crack. Lao Jin met Webb when handling the dog's body. Webb has been following him and wanted to pledge the billiard cue to Lao Jin for some money. Lao Jin did not agree. Just then, the owner of the white dog caught up with them in his car, and he screamed, "Where is my dog? Did you get it killed? Come with me to the police station. Don't let me get off and arrest you." Webb did not want to stand up for Lao Jin, but was kicked to the ground by the man. Webb took the brick, but did not have the courage to do something, only to be kicked down again and again, and again and again to stand up. Then, Lao Jin calmly said, "You go, I did not touch your dog." The man could only leave resentfully, and before leaving, he also did not forget to curse both to death by a big car later. After the men left, Webb said, "I have to go." Lao Jin seemed to understand his situation. He gave Webb some money, and Webb gave him the billiard cue. Then, Webb came to the monkey cage to see Huang Ling, who didn't want to come, but was just a little worried about Webb's situation. So still came. They walked in the monkey cage one after the other. Huang Ling suddenly asked, "What are you going to do?" Webb responded, "Later to buy train tickets. To Manzawi, you come with me?" Huang Ling incredible said, "You do not toss me. Besides, you went to what Manchuria, and what can be?" Webb said, "There's a way. Look around. Isn't everyone alive?" Huang Ling did not answer, instead asked, "Why did you hit him?" Webb looked away and said confusedly, "I just heard today that my father stayed at home because of the bribe. I heard this. I think I should do it just like going through the process. In fact, I do not think there is anything, like I stole or did not steal the phone. I do not think there is anything. But I am his friend. I follow the process. How come becomes like this? And I didn't hit him, he fell himself." Huang Ling questioned loudly, "Then what did you run?" Webb did not answer, but turned to ask, "Can you come with me to Manchuria? I can work, I can support you." Huang Ling could not help but laugh. "Let me count what you know. You can play shuttlecock, so you go to Manchuria to perform shuttlecock to make money." Webb said, "You mock me? But you're right, I only know how to play shuttlecock. I even won an award, but that's no big deal. Anyone who wastes time on anything can do that." Huang Ling asks, "Why do you play shuttlecock?" Webb said, "Because other things make me feel worse," and eventually Huang Ling turned him down and left. By the cage, only Webb was left sitting on the ground. On the other hand, Lao Jun came to the door with his cue. Yu Cheng had already brought his men down to Webb's house. After a round of smashing, they come out and seeing the cue in Lao Jin's hand. Several people stopped Lao Jin to ask him where the cue came from. Lao Jin did not let go. Yu Cheng asked his men to keep an eye on him. At this time, Lao Jin's granddaughter came out. He asked in a milky voice, "Grandpa, where is the dog?" Lao Jin's heart shuddered and felt very sad. The little punk wouldn't let him go home. Lao Jin finally couldn't stand it, picked up the cue, and poked the little punk hard. The punk ate the pain, and did not dare to act rashly. Then, they received a call from Yu Cheng, rushed to the train station. After Yu Cheng left, he went to his best friend's house first. His mother had already arrived. When she came downstairs, his best friend's wife said, "I did not tell him that you were present at that time. You have nothing at all, and nothing later. How about that?" Yu Cheng did not answer. Downstairs, he met his best friend's mother, her eyes empty, looking at the balcony. Confused Sai Tu Hai. Yu Cheng was silent, did not have the courage to confess what he had done. He then rushed to the train station to stop Webb and prevent him from fleeing. Webb is staring at a restaurant out of focus. It turns out that Huang Ling and the deputy director is eating inside. Although Yu Cheng was looking for Webb everywhere, the two of them were unknown to each other. When Yu Cheng saw the dazed Webb, he casually asked, "Is that your girlfriend?" Webb replied, "No, I just have nothing to do." Yu Cheng said, "Then you must watch out. Do not like me, still nothing at my age." Webb replied, "So what?" Yu Cheng suggest, "You should go in and hit the man, must let the girl know that you came and saw." Webb listened and took out a paper and wrote a few words. "Run to the restaurant." In the restaurant, Huang Ling was talking with the deputy director. Huang Ling said, "Why did Webb hit people? I think he himself does not know." The deputy director said, "He certainly does not know. I remember when I was in school, one day I saw a classmate pick up a cat by the river. He found a few bricks and slowly smashed the cat to death. This person is usually always bullied. The grades are not good. The teacher said every day he has little future, but this has nothing to do with he smashed the cat. He just smashed the cat many times to feel happy." Huang Ling asked, "Then you are watching from the side?" The deputy director said, "Yes, I wanted to stop and should stop him, but if I go to stop him, it becomes somehow related to this person, so I just watching at the side. I must admit, I was also very happy in my heart." Huang Ling said, "Why are you telling me this?" The deputy director explained, "I want to tell you that every era of daily life is similar. It's just slightly different. You don't have to be confused about these things. Everything will be understood after a while." Huang Ling asked, "Can I understand myself?" The deputy director replied, "People are suffering, will always in pain, and always in pain. You think go to a new place will be okay. You think you'll get better after you change places." Right at this point, Webb ran to the window and stuck the paper on the window. It written, "You're finished." Huang Ling saw the note and rushed after him, but Webb had already run far away. She then followed the deputy director to his house. The deputy director's home was clean and tidy. Huang Ling felt a sense of unprecedented relaxation as she lay on the sofa. She opened her phone and saw 5 missed calls. She called back and felt a ball from the blue. Someone had sent a video of her and the deputy director at the KTV to the class group. The deputy director said in despair after watching the video, "I'm going to ruin it." Then he ranted, "How the F, so many people meddle. Why are all the people in this place so evil? Why are they so evil at such a young age? It's always you are walking down the street, and someone jumps out to F you up." After venting for a while, the deputy director complained, "Go away, you've ruined me, I can't go to my new school." Huang Ling looked at him dumbfounded, and then, carrying her bag and left. On the other hand, Yu Cheng asked his girlfriend out. The two walked into a goose store. The woman asked, "Why are you looking for me?" Yu Cheng said, "I just want to spend some time with you, stay with you, make me more relaxed." The woman said, "But I am not comfortable staying with you. We are unlikely, because we are not the same people, so no matter how many times you look for me is useless." Yu Cheng changed the subject and said, "This morning I slept with a friend's wife. He saw, and he jumped off a building. I may have to hide for a few days, to muddle through this thing." The The woman asked, why do such a thing? Yu Cheng said, because you do not see me, the whole thing is because of you. The woman cursed with tears and laughter, you are sick, right? While talking, the restaurant kitchen suddenly exploded. Yu Cheng pushed his girlfriend out of the door and rushed back to help. After the fire was extinguished, Yu Cheng's hand was burned. Then, the two walked all the way to a tunnel. The woman asked him, you said your friend died because of me, how to get involved in? Yu Cheng replied, because you rejected me, so I went to their home, so he jumped off the building. The woman was a bit teary-eyed. I can't reject you. Yu Cheng said to himself, I think my life is a pile of rags, piled up in front of my eyes every day, just to clear a piece, there are new piles over. The woman said, everyone is like this, you mean you cannot stand it? I have already said that I rejected you because we are not suitable, I am not comfortable. Yu Cheng retorted, you are not comfortable, that's right, I do not think anyone feel comfortable, in fact, what you think in your head and other women are the same, I'm looking at you, I found you skiing and diving every day. Take a good look at this place. What kind of middle-class life do you pretend to have? The woman said indifferently, can't chase me, also don't need to be anxious. Yu Cheng looked at the woman and laughed to himself, maybe. Then he told the woman the story of the elephant and invited the woman to go with him to Manzali. But the woman said she did not want to go anywhere with Yu Cheng. Yu Cheng said helplessly, you go, I'm going to the hospital to see a waste, a shrew, plus an old Yakuza. At this time, Webb has come to the hospital entrance. He hesitated for a long time or did not go in. Then, he asked Lai Kai to meet at the mall. But Lai Kai took to inform Webb's parents. When Webb knows this, he pulled Lai Kai into the hallway and ranted at him that you fucking betrayed me. Lai Kai said, I am helping you this way, you will eventually have to find your parents to solve the problem. After a long silence, he then said, the whole thing is your fault, I stole the phone, you sure I used the phone to take all kinds of video, but also ran to the toilet to secretly shoot me peeing. Webb felt his head was about to split open. He trembled voice questioned, you told me you did not steal. Lai Kai yelled, I said I didn't steal it, but I did. There is a video of me inside, I would rather accompany him a phone. There is also a video of Huang Ling with the deputy director in KTV. Webb angrily pulled his collar. Surprisingly, he did not know what to say. Lai Kai continued, you should not hit him, he's actually pretty wimpy. Just scare him. You shouldn't have really hit him. Now it's all screwed up. Then he pulled out his homemade pistol from his pocket and said viciously, I'm not afraid of anything, I can do anything, and I wouldn't be afraid of anyone without you. Webb ignored him and turned to leave. The other side. Lao Jin went to a nursing home, looking at a dull, numb, lifeless face. Through a room filled with the smell of loneliness and death, Lao Jin found the source of that voice. That's an old man's way of fighting pain. He was pacing back and forth in the room, tapping the glass on the door with a spoon. Seeing this scene, Lao Jin's heart felt like a brazen thorn had been stabbed into it. The source of the nightmare was found, but he couldn't face it. Fear gave him the idea to flee, and he secretly picked up his granddaughter and led her towards the train station. After coming out of the deputy director's house, Huang Ling walked home with a heavy heart. She told her mother that the deputy director of the school was very, very nice to me. It's much more comfortable than at home. Mom frowned and asked, he sleep with you already? Huang Ling froze, and there was an extremely disgusted tone of voice that asked, why? You make me live in a mess every day. I must get up every day to pick up your clothes. If you get dirty, I end up having to wash it, and I'll always carry the takeout smell with me, and I must spend time getting it off. Mom ignored her complaints and continued to press the issue. Did he sleep with you? Huang Ling just said I like to stay at his place and his house is clean, and doesn't need me to clean up. Now the video of us was made public, but we had done nothing, and the school knew about it. She cried as she talked about it. She asked her mother, what should I do now? Mom is not the least bit soft-hearted. What do you want me to do? Sleep with the bald man to sign the contract, get the money for you transfer schools? After hearing Huang Ling cursed indignantly, "You are the most despicable and selfish person I've ever seen," Mom was enraged, and she yelled at the top of her lungs, "I'm so busy at work every day, and all you do is write some useless crap assignments. You don't even know what it's like to live, so how can I have the energy to create something for you that you like? I'm still a mess myself, and can't figure it out." Huang Ling cried and said I was having a terrible time. Mom sighed and said, "It's not even because I've always been like this, I've been like this, you've been like this, it's just the way it is." Suddenly, the deputy director's wife came to the door in an aggressive manner. Huang Ling seduced her husband, and she wanted to settle with her. The mother calmly said, "She is not in, talk to me if anything, and my daughter is the victim." The woman completely ignored. Huang Ling and her mother were insulted like a shrew. Huang Ling finally couldn't take it anymore. He jumped out of the first floor window, grabbed his baseball bat hidden in the building and rushed into the house. He rushed to the back of the head of the deputy director and his wife and smashed down hard. Huang Ling then fled in the direction of the train station. Webb came to the hospital again, and he hid in a corner and watched secretly. Yu Shuai had just been pronounced dead after an ineffective resuscitation. Yu Cheng and his parents broke out into a fierce conflict. Webb turned to flee. Passing by the nursing home, he picks up a shuttlecock, and the old man tells him to throw it in, which Webb ignores. He continued to walk forward. The old man grabbed him through the railing and cursed. Webb glared viciously and cursed back word for word. As he left, he gave a wicked smile, with an unprecedented pleasure in his heart. Then he came under the train bridge hole, looking at the grey sky in front of him, and fuming. Suddenly, he trembled uncontrollably, cursed, "You are scum, is shit, is the most disgusting fucking thing. You go to hell, you go to hell." After venting, Webb came to the train station. There were a lot of people in line. Webb bought a ticket from a long-haired man, but what arrived was a fake ticket. He now urgently needed money, but the long-haired man in the warehouse simply did not recognize it. See the tip. Webb relentless long-haired man had to take him to refund. Webb followed. The more you go, the more you feel wrong, but it was too late. Came to the train station near a vacant lot. Long-haired man's accomplices snatched his ID card and wallet, but also beat him up. After seeing Webb's ID card, they reported it to Yu Cheng, who turned out to be one of Yu Cheng's minions. Yu Cheng received the news and rushed over. When he saw Webb, he said coldly, "My brother is dead." Seeing that Webb held his head in silence, Yu Cheng asked, "What are you thinking? If you're on a high-rise balcony now, what would you think about?" Webb said, "I don't want anything, what else can I do?" Yu Cheng looked at Webb, seems to see the jumping buddy, also seems to see himself. He, his friend, and Webb are just people forced to the balcony by life. It seems that everyone had no choice at that time. He suddenly sobbed uncontrollably and laughed bitterly. After thinking about it, he dialed the phone and confessed to his best friend's mother that I was at his house this morning and I watched him jump. Then, he turned to Webb and asked, "Where do you want to run?" Webb said, "To Manchuria. To see the elephants." After thinking for a moment, Yu Cheng let his minions go to buy a ticket for Webb, then said, "You now also kill people. I do not get you, there are other things to get you." Webb cannot help but laugh. "You are right." Yu Cheng also followed the laugh. These are two people on the verge of disillusionment, the most helpless dissipation and resistance to life. The night is getting darker and darker. Just then, Lai Kai found the place through cell phone positioning. He took the gun and asked Yu Cheng to let Webb go. Webb growled to Lai Kai, "You go, Yu Shuai is dead, I cannot leave." Li Kai insisted, "I cover you to go." Webb heard a maniacal laugh. He never seemed to have heard such a funny joke. Yu Cheng said sarcastically, "What the hell are you holding? You're a phone thief." Li Kai can't stand people looking down on him, and it just so happens that Yu Cheng's minions also rushed over at this time. They wanted to strike from behind. In a panic, Li Kai pulled the trigger, and Yu Cheng was hit in the thigh. He collapsed on the ground, and when the two minions saw him, they fled in a hurry. Li Kai replied, "You do not understand, they are afraid of me. Many people cannot do in their lives." Webb teased, "Yes, everyone is afraid of you, you are a big hero." Yu Cheng cursed at Li Kai and said, "You're a piece of shit." Then under Li Kai's urging, Webb turned around and left, leaving Yu Cheng sitting on the ground covering his injured thigh. Li Kai was silent for a while, and slowly sat down on the ground. His face gradually blurred under the shroud of night, and then left his last words in this world, "The world is too boring." A few moments later, the sound of gunfire pierced the silence of the dark night. The night sinks and the landscape fades. Webb, Huang Ling and Lao Jin met outside the train station. The train to Manzhouli was cancelled because of the snow. They must go to the bus station. Lao Jin was a little shaken. "Want to go back?" He said sadly to the two, "You can go anywhere, but when you arrive, you will find nothing different. I tell you, the best situation is that you stand here. You can see that place over there. You think it must be better over there than over here, but you can't go. You don't have to go to solve the problem here." After saying that, old Jin took his granddaughter and headed out. Webb chased after him, undyingly persuaded, "Go and see, there is no direct bus to Manzhouli." They got on the bus to Shenyang. The car arrived at a rest stop. They got off and lifted the shuttlecock. A faint light shone on them. Suddenly, the hissing of an elephant came from afar, as if it were a miracle, bridging 2 times in spaces, and like a tunnel, cutting through the whole world. An Elephant Sit Still won the Best Film at the 55th Taiwan Film Golden Horse Awards, and the FIPRESSI International Critics Award at the 68th Berlin International Film Festival. The director Hu Bo committed suicide on October 12, 2017, a few months before the film's premiere. The film was his feature debut and his last posthumous work, and the young director was thrust into the limelight due to the suicide controversy. The elephant sitting on the ground also became a window to peek into his inner world. After watching this film, the most impressive is that the world is full of hostility and malice. And it will always be so. From youth to old age, and from middle age to old age, it is hard to escape the hard to change. Some people say that this is a kind of bigotry, and some say it is a narrow-mindedness, but the world has never been more than one form of presentation. For some people, just living may have exhausted their strength. Admittedly, the film doesn't cater to the world's accepted values, but he does show a sense of detached reality in a very raw way. Perhaps, this is the world in Hu Bo's eyes. Life is so up, the world is so boring. The cruelty of this world does not lie in the weak and the strong, but no matter how we struggle, we cannot get rid of each other as fish and meat. No one can escape this desolate and desperate world. Only some people are numb, some people compromised. There are some people who choose to fight the world to the end, even if the head is broken, but also unwilling to turn back. So there are people with a tone of regret or contempt, said, "Human being really stupid," but the interesting thing is, everyone can see themselves or the people around them in movie. Perhaps at some point, we are Webb, Huang Ling, Yu Cheng, Lao Jin in the movie. We can also feel the malice imposed by the world. That's how the world works sometimes. Life is a bunch of crap, isn't it, for everyone? You mean you're the only one who can't take it anymore? So, everyone seems to be holding their breath. The bullets full of malice have been loaded. The gun is either aimed at the world or at themselves. It's all so desperate, just like the movie says. People will always be in pain, from the time of birth, has been in pain, thought a change will be better, in fact, will continue to suffer in a new place. So does this mean that life is unresolved? This is a question that has not been answered since ancient times, as we have mentioned before. In fact, people's lives are dealing with 2 kinds of relationships, one with the world, one with themselves, but in the final, we are dealing with our own relationship. The world will always be like that, but what about people? Either live with pain or live with pain and joy. Well, that's it for today's commentary. Please subscribe, click the like button and share this video. That's it, see you next time.